Imagine someone in 1517 pinning a short list of complaints to a church door, and overnight that message is copied, printed, shared in towns and cities across Europe. Imagine a philosopher in Athens standing before a jury, accused of corrupting youth for asking questions. Imagine a government in the name of security deciding that dissent is a danger. This is not a single story. It's many stories repeating in new costumes. This episode traces how the idea we now call freedom of speech grew, shifted, and keeps returning whenever new technologies, new fears, or new powers remade the public sphere. For our purposes, freedom of speech means the broad social and legal expectation that people can express opinions, challenge power, and share ideas without prior government censorship or fear of arbitrary punishment, balanced in most legal systems against narrowly defined harms. It's a living idea. In one era, it looks like the right to publish a pamphlet. In another, it looks like the right to protest in the street. Today, it includes the right to publish online. Perhaps the earliest recognizable ancestor of free speech is the Greek concept of parrhesia, frank, public speech to those in power. Socrates exemplifies the paradox. In 399 BCE, he defended his habit of publicly questioning accepted beliefs. The playbook is familiar. Authority feels threatened. Critics are accused of corrupting young minds or of impiety. The state punishes the dissenter. Plato's Apology records Socrates' defense and his execution after conviction for impiety and corrupting youth. Through the medieval period, most speech regulation came from churches and monarchs. Blasphemy laws, heresy trials, and licensing of printers. The Inquisition and ecclesiastical courts policed doctrine. Monarchs policed sedition. But this was a mixed world. Forums for debate existed too, often narrow and elite: universities, guild halls, royal courts. New media change everything. The printing press expanded who could produce and receive ideas. Martin Luther's pamphlets and dozens of other networks of print made debates public in ways hand copying never had. Historians argue that print culture reorganized authority and enabled fast, wide argumentation, and with that, new conflicts over control. From the 17th century onward, a new vocabulary for defending expression emerged. John Milton's Areopagitica, 1644, argued against pre-publication licensing. Milton insisted that ideas should be exposed to contest. Let her and falsehood grapple. Truth will win through testing. Milton's pamphlet is often cited as a foundational liberal defense of publication without prior restraint. Revolutions turned these ideas into political experiments. The French Declaration of the Rights of Man, 1789, declared free communication of ideas to be among the most precious rights. The newly founded United States enshrined speech in the First Amendment to the Constitution, 1791. But the constitutional protections had limits in practice. In 1859, John Stuart Mill published On Liberty. Mill argued that liberty, including freedom of expression, should be curtailed only to prevent direct harm to others. Mill's harm principle reframed free speech as an instrument for truth-seeking and personal autonomy. He was skeptical of paternalism. The 20th century tested these principles. During World War I, many governments tightened speech laws. In the United States, the Espionage Act and later the Sedition Act of 1918 were used to prosecute critics of the war effort. The Supreme Court in Schenck v. United States, 1919, articulated the clear and present danger test. Speech could be curbed if it posed a clear and present danger to the nation. After World War II, freedom of expression was written into international law. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, and later the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, especially Article 19, recognized the right to hold opinions and to freely express them. But international law also accepts limited restrictions for national security, public order, or to protect the rights or reputations of others. But such restrictions must be prescribed by law, necessary, and proportionate. Here we arrive at the present. The internet and social platforms expanded speaking opportunities by orders of magnitude. But that expansion brought familiar patterns: new medium, rapid spread, threat perceived by authorities or publics, new forms of control. The difference is that the gatekeepers are now a mix of states and private platforms. If you followed this arc, three repeating mechanisms should be clear. Technology expands voice, existing power feels threatened. New communications technologies repeatedly produce bursts of decentralized information that upset elites, print, pamphlets, radio, internet. Security or moral panic shrinks tolerance. During wars, revolutions, epidemics, or mass unrest, states place security above debate, limiting speech. So what should we take from this long, repeating story? A centrist, pragmatic stance focuses on durable principles rather than absolutist slogans. Protect public, political expression as a default. Democratic debate must be wide and open. Limit speech only narrowly and transparently. Laws should be precise, subject to judicial review, and time-limited in emergencies.